Today at Mordecai Historic Park, we have many historic buildings. But did you know that the Mordecai House is the oldest home in Raleigh on its original foundation? The original portion of the home predates the city of Raleigh. Built in 1785 as a wedding gift for Henry and Polly Lane by Henry's father, Joel Lane, the home consisted of 4 rooms with 1.5 stories. 3 rooms would have been used as bedrooms, with 1 room used as a working, living, dining, and entertainment space. Joel Lane had already built his own house in 1769, further south and would later become Raleigh, and moved here with his wife, Martha Hinton, and her 3 sons. Early on, he was instrumental in the creation of Wake County itself, even choosing the name. Joel Lane was involved in the Revolutionary War in North Carolina, and served as a delegate to the Provincial Congress in Hillsborough. Later, when the state needed a new capital, he sold a portion of his land to become the city of Raleigh in 1792. Today, he is known as the Father of Raleigh. Henry and Polly Lane had 4 daughters here: Peggy, Nancy, Harriet, and Temperance. And after losing their parents, the 4 daughters would move in with their relatives elsewhere in the area. But all would later return as adults when Peggy Lane married Moses Moricki. Now Moses was the first Jewish man recorded to have lived in Raleigh. And once he lived in Raleigh, the pronunciation of the family name shifted from Mordecai to Moricki. Now Moses and Peggy had 3 children before she sadly passed away in 1821. And a few years later, Moses would go on to marry another Lane daughter, Nancy, and had 1 daughter. When Moses passed away in 1824, he left money for Nancy and his half-brother, George Washington Moricki, to expand the Mordecai House in 1826 into the Greek Revival style that you still see here today. The architect who worked on this extension was named William Nichols. He also remodeled the Capitol building downtown during the same time period. By the 1850s, the Mordecai House was the seat of a plantation that expanded to 1,200 acres, and up to 120 people were enslaved right here on the Mordecai property, some of which have recorded histories, interviews, and photos attributed to them. Mordecai Historic Park is committing to telling the stories of these men, women, and children. This includes stories of individuals such as Cheney, Charlotte, Millie, or Matilda, who cooked in the outdoor kitchen from dawn to dusk. By using these artifacts, the spaces themselves, and research and knowledge from their descendants, we can help bring their history to light. The Mordecai family lived in this house until 1964, and the house and the 3 acres that you see today were purchased by the city of Raleigh 4 years later. The park opened to the public in April of 1972, along with other historic buildings that moved here. With stories spanning over 235 years of both the Mordecai family and those enslaved, the Mordecai House offers a unique opportunity to see multiple centuries of Raleigh history in a single space. If you'd like to learn more about the Mordecai House or other historic buildings at the park, please feel free to come and take a tour.
Raleigh is tucked between the mountains to the west and the sea to the east, centered on land as rich and old as the families that helped make this city the capital of the state of North Carolina. Local tales say that Joel Lane helped convince those in charge that they should buy his land instead of buying land closer to the Neuse River. The Neuse River would have given the city easier access to the sea and the shipping that came with it. But the planning committee met, large kegs were poured, over and over, as the talks continued. Lane footed the bill, and Raleigh became the first planned state capital in the U.S. In fact, many of Raleigh's historic buildings sit on what was once Lane's Wakefield plantation, including the Mordecai House. The original portion of the house was built for Joel's son, Henry, but the house acquired the name Mordecai when Moses Moricki married into the Lane family and took ownership. As a member of one of the oldest Jewish families in the U.S., Moses soon upended his family traditions and became a Christian, while also differentiating himself by changing the family name from Mordecai to Moricki. While the Moricki family faced many challenges during the time they owned the house, it's a more recent occupant that captures local imagination. Mary Willis Mordecai Turk was born in 1858 and died in 1937. She's buried near to the home she loved and lived in at Oakwood Cemetery. During her life as lady of the house, and as a lady of the day, she would have been tasked with housekeeping and entertaining. Large get-togethers on Sunday after service and during the holidays would have been her mission. She would have set the tone for the home, either pleasantly or not so pleasantly. The pressure of keeping a large and very old family home in good condition as the city grew and the surrounding world changed from horses and carriages to automobiles and trolleys would have been very challenging indeed. All of which, maintaining her family home, being in charge of entertaining, and charged with meticulous housekeeping, some might wager her life's work, may explain why she's routinely been reported playing piano in her prim black dress. Local historic guides talk about tour groups reporting a lady in period costume in the house. Some have seen just a swirl of mist and heard a pleasant tinkling of the keys. There were reports of doors opening and closing on their own, and pictures that will fall off the wall rather unceremoniously if you remark negatively on the property, curse, or otherwise act improperly in the house by turn-of-the-century standards. But why not see for yourself? Maybe next time you want to take a little trip to the land named for Sir Walter, you should swing by Mordecai House and see if the lady in gray welcomes you with some gentle piano tunes, or if she tells you to clean up your act with more startling antics.
Early on in our investigations of Mordecai Historic Park, we got a video anomaly. We were looking for video evidence of a phantom. Supposedly a woman walks down the stairs and through the hallway in front of the stairs, which are right on the other side of this door. So of course, what you want to do when you've got visual representations of hauntings is set up your video cameras. And in our case, we left the camera locked up running in the building. So there was nobody else in the building was locked, and the camera was running all night. And we actually caught what we would call an anomaly. So in the video clip you just watched, you saw the screen go dark twice. Now a lot of people would think that there's something wrong with the camera or the recording system or, some sort of technical problem. Here's why we think this is actually an anomaly and not a technical issue. If the screen went white, we would know that the camera failed. If the signal was lost between the camera and the computer that was recording the video, you would get text on the screen that says the signal is lost. We didn't get a white screen, we didn't get text on the screen. The screen went dark and the time code continued to run. So what that tells us is that something blocked the light between the camera and the IR light on the other side of the hall. So something passed between the camera and the light, not once, but twice. To us, that's an anomaly.
Of all the experiences we've had on the Moricki property, there is one in particular that we've been focusing on in hopes that we can eventually explain it, especially since several team members have shared a similar experience while alone in the house. The first time I experienced it was when I was sitting alone on the second floor. The house was empty and all the doors were locked. The only person with a key was a volunteer who was on property that night, but not in the house. While sitting in Ellen's room, I heard the distinct noise of the door downstairs being unlocked, opened, and then someone coming inside. My first response was to jump up from where I was sitting and head out to the staircase, where I said, "Hello?" I was expecting the volunteer to answer me, but all I got was silence. I called out again and again, but still no response. My next thought was, uh-oh, I must have left the door unlocked and someone has snuck into the house. I cautiously began creeping down the stairs, shining my flashlight into the darkness below. I didn't see anyone. I stopped about halfway down the staircase, trying to decide what to do. I'm not afraid of ghosts, but a random stranger breaking into a house where I'm alone in the dark, it gives me pause. As I slowly continued down the stairs, still cautiously looking around, I heard the same sound as before. Keys unlocking the side door, the door opening, but this time, the volunteer walked in. With a sigh of relief, I made my way down to her and I asked, "Did you start coming into the house about 5 minutes ago?" With a confused look on her face, she said, "No, I just walked straight over here from the church." I asked if the door had been locked when she got here, and she said it had. She also confirmed that she had not seen anyone outside on the property wandering around. I told her about my experience, and together we walked through the entire house just to ensure there was no one else there. We then tried to recreate the noise, opening different doors, drawers, manipulating different objects in the house. But that side door was the closest we could come to recreating the noise that I heard. The thing is, if this had been an isolated incident, we might have just dismissed it and moved on.
In our most recent investigation, our entire group was sitting on the floor upstairs in Ellen's room. The doors were locked and the lights were out. I was sitting in the bedroom doorway at the top of the stairs. I noticed the battery on my camera, which had 4 hours of life remaining before I went upstairs, had suddenly dropped down to 12 minutes. At the same time, another device that had just been fully charged died mid-use. That's when I heard, coming from the first floor, it sounded like one of the duffel bags we had on the floor of the side entrance. It sounded like it was being dragged across the floor. I could even hear the plastic buckles as he bounced off the small gaps in between the floorboards. We all made our way downstairs to investigate the sound, and were shocked to find the side door unlocked and wide open. Based on Kelly's prior experience, we had decided to focus audio and video on the side door, so he got really excited thinking that we had video of the door being opened and could see if someone had opened it, or if it had opened itself. Well, it turns out the camera had shut itself off. So we then retrieved the audio recorder that we had left close by, and its battery had completely drained. So there's no audio and no video capture of the door opening. Needless to say, we couldn't have been more disappointed. We'll continue focusing on this area of the house, but with more than one camera pointed at the door next time, including a new external camera we've acquired to have a view of the outside of the house.
So we had been coming twice a year, every year, to Mordecai Historic Park to investigate, and somehow we had never gotten into the basement. We never thought to ask, and it hadn't really been offered to us until this one time. The sitter for the house said, "Hey, have y'all actually done anything in the basement?" And George and I were the two people in the house at this point. The rest of the team were in the other buildings. So, you know, of course we're going to take whatever opportunity we have. So I said, you know, let's do it. And George was the fearless leader, ready to go right downstairs. So he went first, and I was following. I was just a few steps behind him. And I got this horrible feeling of, we don't want you here. I mean, very strong sensation, just this isn't a good idea. So I stopped. I was about 4 steps down, and I said, "George, we can't go down here." And he said, "What are you talking about? We're going down here." And I said, "No, they don't want us down here." And I backed up and went back to the top of the stairs. And something you need to know about us is we do everything in twos for 2 reasons. One is if somebody gets injured, you've got a buddy to go get help. And 2, if you have a personal experience, you've got somebody to witness it. So he goes down in front of me. I back up because I feel like this is not a good idea, and they don't want us down there. He continues on. And as he gets just out of my sight, I hear a thump. And he says, "Whoa." And I said, "George, what happened?" I thought he tripped. He said, "Somebody just pushed me." And of course I got the "I told you so" moment. So he came back up the stairs, and he's admitted, maybe I was right, they didn't want us down there. Later on in the night, we took the entire team down there because obviously where there's activity, you do want to go and spend some time. So the entire team went down, and we attempted to do an EVP session. We spent 15 to 20 minutes, and because the HVAC system was running and continuously loud, we didn't get anything out of that. But we did come back with a personal experience, and I truly believe that they don't want us in the basement.
We are live at the Mordecai House, about to begin our investigation on the first floor.
Come on and join us.
If you guys have any questions you'd like us to ask, feel free to put them in the chat. We are currently in the living room of the first floor.
So it's Halloween, the one night of the year when the veil between the living and the dead drops away. So we ask tonight, who might be here with us tonight, spirits, who would like to make your presence known? Please make a noise or say your name. Ellen, we have a large audience tonight watching us. Are you perhaps here in the home tonight? And if so, will you make your presence known and make a noise?
It's also the super rare occasion that Halloween falls on a full moon, so hopefully that may increase the activity. At least increase the spook factor.
And a blue moon at that.
Moses, if you're here, again, my name is Nick. I actually visited your grave a little while ago and asked you some questions. And I told you that I would return to your house to try to communicate with you again. Do you remember what questions I asked you? What was that?
You can tell where it came from.
Almost sounded like the piano.
That sound came from outside. That was the sound from outside.
Thank you.
So is that. But on that note, Miss Patty, Becky would like to know what your favorite song was that you played on the piano. Can you tell us what that was? possibly play a tune or make a sound on the piano as well, that would be great.
There it is again. That sounds like it's coming from outside, though. It's probably the same thing.
Yeah, there is some, I don't know if you call it thumping or a knocking noise, but it sounds like it's from outside.
That's why it's important on these investigations to think critically and not always assume every little noise you hear is a spirit.
Right.
It's also good to have ears on the exterior of the house. It may sound like it's coming from right here, when in reality it's coming from 2 miles down the road.
Miss Patty, are you here with us tonight?
This is Nick walking across the floor to the other side of the room.
There are many things in this room that you can touch or make a sound on. It doesn't have to be Miss Patty. If there's anyone in this room with us tonight, please feel free to make a noise on something.
Can you tell me who this fellow is on this painting?
Are you here with us tonight? We've got a couple other rooms, why don't we try those as well?
Sure.
Yep. Right across the hall is the dining room. Let's head in there. Hello, hello. Anyone in here having a late dinner? Moses, Beth King would like us to ask you, what was your favorite book? If you please tell us what that was. someone please shake that chandelier just a little bit for us tonight? Like I said, it's Halloween. It's a good time to scare us a little.
Seriously, I kind of want to know if that was somebody that actually walked by. Kind of. Nelson's right there.
Yeah, he's out here now. He just came over.
Oh, could it have been him?
No, because he came from the other way to bring the Wi-Fi.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it could have been Nelson, but
It could have been. I don't know. I'll have to ask him. All right.
how about we make a little noise, guys? What did you say?
I'm not sure.
What do you want to ask me?
Oh, what do you want to ask now? What do you want to ask him?
You're in front of
Does
the
anybody walk by this window?
Did anybody walk by the window?
Tell him just to.
I just repositioned myself here because the live stream was breaking up.
What about this other side of the house here, to your left?
I did not know.
Okay, thank you. Not him.
What the heck?
Shadows walking in front of me.
No, that wasn't a shadow. All right. I'll have to re-examine that later, I guess. Anyways, yeah. So what's for dinner?
Did you make a noise like that on some of this china? I'm not just directing these questions at members of this family either. I know spirits can pass through in places they've never lived before. If there are any spirits just in this home tonight, will you make your presence known as well? Sorry, that was me.
It's very important as paranormal investigators, anytime you're running audio like this, any random noises like you're moving, or if you're sneezing, or if you hear any explainable noise, to call it out so when you listen to your audio at home, you're not hearing unexplained noises. Everything can be accounted for. Can you tell me who all these people are, these paintings?
Are any of you here tonight?
Any questions coming across?
Nope, just the one about Moses' book. And you know what, Beth? We'll be going in the library here next, and I will ask that question again. And maybe Moses has a book in there he likes. Want to try it in there now?
Sure.
Yeah. Moses, inquiring minds would like to know if there is a book in this room that you enjoyed reading when you lived here. There are many, many books, so you might want to tap on it, possibly push it out a little bit. That would be wonderful.
I'm going to step out here for just 1 second and I'll be right back.
Sure. Who else enjoyed reading in this room? Ellen? Patty?
One question I get a lot from people that ask me about the investigations is what's my favorite piece of equipment. My favorite piece of equipment is a little pin toy like this that you can kind of push your, leave an imprint like that. I just like to set it down with all the needles pushed in to see if anything can actually push it in, but unfortunately, at some point during the night, it fell off the table and is now broken. So if I had flipped it all the way the other way, a lot of these pins would come out. So unfortunately, I will not be able to use this tool tonight. As you heard, part of the board here.
Have you had any handprints or anything like that in the past on other investigations?
I did a private residence in Burlington where it's not what I expected. I'd set it on the other side of the table and walked across and were asking questions. I came back and there's 3 pins pushed all the way in. It wasn't like a handprint or anything, it was just 3 pins very close. You can't even duplicate that unless you have like a toothpick or tweezers or something. It's very odd. I don't know what to think of that, but it's the only time that something happened. They're cheap too.
Cheap equipment is good. It's hard to come by in this line of work. Can someone please make their presence known to us in this room? Any type of noise you'd like.
Does this count? Good morning. We're moving to the second floor.
What is it?
Oh, sure. Come again?
Moving to the second floor in 2 minutes.
Okay. Gotcha.
Just a couple minutes. We're going to take you on the second floor now and see who's up there. Well, if anyone did respond to us down here, we thank you. Oftentimes we'll get EVP, of course not in the moment, but we'll get home and listen to all of our recordings. I'd say 99% of the time I will get some EVP. A lot of times it can be 8 hours of investigation and I get 1, but that's always it's still just as exciting. You get one.
If you could see me right now, what color shirt am I wearing? Can you tell me my middle name?
If his shirt is black, will you knock on the wall twice, please?
Please let people know we're going on a short intermission, and we will come back on another stream on the second.
Okay,
Yes, that's it.
thanks for
Go
watching
back
the
and
first
get-
part. Sorry.